Nicole Scott here for Netbook News, and here we have the ASUS UX32VD. This is a very sexy machine, as it seems to have pretty much everything. You don't really have to sacrifice much. Well, you kind of do, because it's kind of expensive. For $1,300, it has a high-end Core i7. The model that we had didn't have the HD 920 by 1080 display. It had a 1366 by 768, but that saved you about $100. We're going to get into the unboxing because I'm really excited about this one because it comes with the NVIDIA 620 GPU. So why don't we take it out of the box and see how it does. So depending on which geography you're in, the box will probably be different, but what's inside should be the same. So let's start off over here. This is the exact same adapter that we had in previous Zenbook generations, although this part is different, so they're all not interchangeable. I do like that the Windows key is on the PSU. So here we have a little bag. This is for the adapters. So here we have the DisplayPort to VGA and USB to Ethernet. These fit nicely in here, although I often forget them, so that's kind of annoying. So here we go. This comes out like this. So we'll get into this in just a second. This out, and we have the sleeve. Now, if we take a look at the previous generation, so I have the UX31, and the difference is that this one has a nice magnetic clasp, and the new generation has Velcro, which kind of sucks. Yeah, but they look completely identical, so the build quality and the finish is the same, just Velcro on this one, so that's a slight change in the accessories from previous generations. In here we have some, there we go. Oh, some cable ties, a little battery notice about ASUS notebooks. Here's about their display, warranty cards, little SSD sticker. Yeah, lots and lots of papers. Yeah, and then here we have our user manual and an LCD cleaning cloth right there at the bottom. All right, so that's all really nice, all really good things to have with your notebook. Let's move on and I'll take a walk around of the system. So when you take it out of the box, it looks like it has a very similar profile to all the other Zenbooks. If we take a walk around the system, we have a USB 3, a 2-in-1 card reader. Around the front, you can see that there's nothing. You can see that it is fairly thick, but the end is actually, I think it's only 5 millimeters in actual measurement for this part right here. If we take a look at the port side, you can see that we have a headphone jack, a display port, HDMI, and 2 more USB 3.0s. What's interesting is that the average Ultrabook will sport 1 USB 3 and 2 USB 2.0, so it's really nice to see that this is kind of going luxury all the way, and the full-size HDMI is something that I'm super keen on. Now over here we have the PSU to end off with. If we take a look at opening the system, you can see here that there's a rather large kind of protrusion to kind of open the unit. Now if I grab the UX31E, so this is a Sandy Bridge edition, traditionally, if anyone who's ever reviewed this or knows this, knows that it's very difficult to open this unit, and it has a small bump here as well, but you can see that they've really kind of stepped it up a notch and made it rather large, so then there's no more issues opening it up. I mean, it was almost comical at some points trying to get it open. So you can see once it's opened, it has a beautiful matte display. In the US and Germany and most other geographies, this will come with a 1920 by 1080 display, but however in Taiwan they've really gone for pricing, so it's 1366 by 768, which totally breaks my heart. But I'll move on from that. So the other thing that you'll see is that the keyboard actually is slightly different. So I'm going to grab my UX31E and kind of open that up. And you can see that they've taken the time to make the keys slightly larger. The depression here is a little bit deeper. So it actually makes the keyboard on the UX32VD a little easier to type on, just because the keys have a little more room to push down. One of the things on this is that even though it has like good spacing between the keys, you need to be quite an accurate touch typer in order to get, you know, like a really good high accuracy rate. Whereas on this one, because the keys are a little bit deeper, it just makes it a little easier to type on. So ASUS has definitely improved upon the keyboard in this series. You can also see that there are some minor differences here with the Bang & Olufsen ICE speakers. Just set off just a little bit differently. I mean, it's just more of an aesthetic thing than a functional thing, because the audio quality on these is rather the same. The one thing that is identical, however, is the touchpad. It is a touchpad. They're the exact same size, but the entire Zenbook lineup is kind of plagued with a kind of touchy, or if you have it, touchpad. I often find when I'm typing, for whatever reason, it just jumps around. You really have to make sure that you're really off of it. It's a little too sensitive, and that's the same over here. So why don't we actually just boot this up to see what the boot time is on this system. Now, one of the reasons why I'm super excited to get my hands on the UX32VD is that it does have the NVIDIA GeForce graphics. Now, you do know that I edit all of these wonderful videos on my Ultrabook. So moving into some more powerful software like CS6 that can take advantage of the NVIDIA GPU to kind of boot the videos out faster. So I was really looking for a system with discrete graphics. So I'm pretty excited to take this out for a spin and to really test it out. And I did a system update right before I closed this. So that's going to do that right now. So we'll come back to you in just a second. Yeah. So I'm going to reboot it again so we can actually see a boot time. So you can see actually there that this is a backlit keyboard, which is a really amazing feature to have on an Ultrabook. The older, or the UX31 that I had doesn't actually have that, so I'm pretty stoked about the backlit keyboard. Under the hood, this actually obviously has several options, but Core i7 is one of them. So I mean, a 13.3-inch Ultrabook with a high-end spec CPU is actually pretty coveted, and it's not really run-of-the-mill. So you can find them, but I mean, even the MacBook Air, the 11.6-inch, has the i7, the 13.3 doesn't. So that was, what, 15-20 seconds? You guys can watch the video counter to see, but that was relatively quick. So the other thing that's interesting about this unit is that it has a 24 gig SSD for boot, and then it has a 500 gig hard drive for all of your, storage needs. So it's not as nice as, some of the other editions of the Zenbook lineup, which come with a 128 gig SSD and a 500 gig hard drive. So that's one of the ways that they try to save costs, even though this is a relatively expensive unit. It's around $1,300. I mean, if you went for the UX32A, which is the same edition without the NVIDIA graphics, that'll run you around $800. So I mean, the difference is pretty drastic, but with that one you even get an SSD. So if we kind of take a look at the size difference right over here. So if we line these up, you can see, because they had to fit in the graphics card, the front, got a little more bulky. So the UX32VD, the thicker one, is about 0.7 inches, and the Zenbook without the NVIDIA graphics is 0.4. So you do have definitely some extra weight because of the graphics card. But in general, if we just kind of close these and take a look, well, you can see that I have my lovely Intel Special Edition Ultrabook. Yep, that's a special one there. But when you stack them up, you can actually see that the profile on the other Zenbook lineups are, much thinner around the front, and the 32VD is a little more bulky. But having said that, it's still really, really thin compared to notebooks. But in the Ultrabook game, it is a little bulky. So that's been our unboxing of the ASUS UX32VD and a comparison with the Zenbook UX31E. Keep an eye out for our graphics video and detailed review, because I'm definitely going to be looking into how the NVIDIA GeForce 620M graphics handles video editing and some other stuff. So keep an eye out for that. I'm Nicole Scott for Netbook News, taking a look at Ultrabooks.